and investigate allegations of wrongdoing within the ranks of the police and other institutions. These measures have been necessary to ensure accountability and to devise remedial action to prevent the abuse of office. Established a commission of inquiry. This is led by Justice Mbuyiseni Madlanga to investigate allegations of police collusion in organized criminal activity. The work of the commission, as we all know, is ongoing, and we look forward to its recommendations. And as we all know, we've given the commission a tight time frame, and we're very pleased that they are keeping to that tight time frame, and they will deliver their report. In all these efforts, we have promoted respect for the rule of law and also upheld the principle that law enforcement and prosecutorial agencies must be able to act without fear, favor, or prejudice. It is this principle that informs our response to the appearance in the Magistrates' Court earlier this week of the South African Police Service National Commissioner, General Fannie Masemola, on charges of contravention of the Public Finance Management Act. In consideration of the seriousness of these charges and the critical role that the National Commissioner of Police plays in leading the fight against crime, I have agreed with General Masemola that he be deemed to be on precautionary suspension pending the conclusion of the case. To ensure stability and continuity in the South African police force, I have appointed Lieutenant General Puleng Dimpane, who is standing right next to me here on the left-hand side, as the acting National Commissioner of Police. Lieutenant General Dimpane is currently the division.
Something about this doesn't sit right. A sitting National Police Commissioner, one of the most powerful law enforcement figures in South Africa, suddenly placed on precautionary suspension over a 360 million tender, and just like that, he's out. No trial, no full explanation, no detailed public briefing, just a statement and a replacement. But here's the real question: why now? Because when you start connecting the dots between Cyril Ramaphosa, Fannie Masemola, and the lingering shadows of the Phala Phala farm scandal, things start to look less like accountability and more like damage control. If this is really about corruption, then fine. But if it's not, if this is about silence, then we may be looking at something much bigger. Make sure you like and subscribe, because stories like this don't just disappear, they evolve. This story matters right now because it goes beyond one man or one tender. It cuts into the credibility of the police, the presidency, and the justice system itself. When the head of the police is removed under a cloud of suspicion, it forces the country to ask, is the system working or being manipulated? So, let's break this down from the beginning. At the center of it all is President Cyril Ramaphosa, a leader who has repeatedly positioned himself as a reformer, promising to clean up corruption and rebuild institutions weakened over the years. Then there's General Fannie Masemola, the National Commissioner of the South African Police Service. This is not a minor role. The commissioner oversees national policing strategy, high-level investigations, and coordination with intelligence structures. In simple terms, he knows where the bodies are buried, figuratively speaking. Now, Masemola has been placed on precautionary suspension following criminal charges linked to an alleged irregular R360 million tender. That's public money, taxpayer money. And if those allegations are true, it's serious. Replacing him, at least for now, is Puleng Dimpane, stepping in as acting national commissioner. On the surface, this looks like a textbook anti-corruption move. But here's where things get disturbing. Because timing in politics is never random. Let's walk through the timeline carefully. Allegations begin to surface around a large-scale tender, R360 million. Questions are raised about how the contract was awarded, who benefited, and whether proper procedures were followed. Then, criminal charges are confirmed. Soon after, the presidency announces that Masemola will be placed on precautionary suspension. The language is careful. It avoids declaring guilt, but it also removes him from power immediately. What happened next raised serious questions because there hasn't been a full public disclosure of the evidence. No detailed breakdown of the tender process. No clarity on who else might be involved. Just swift action. Now, in some cases, speed is a good thing. It shows urgency. It shows seriousness. But in other cases, speed can also mean containment. And this is the part few people are talking about. The connection, direct or indirect, to the Phala Phala farm scandal. That scandal involved allegations that large sums of foreign currency were hidden at Ramaphosa's private farm, raising questions about reporting, legality, and the role of law enforcement in handling the situation. Now think about this. Who sits at the top of the police structure? Who would have had access to sensitive information about investigations, internal reports, and intelligence briefings? The National Police Commissioner. So the question becomes unavoidable. Did Masemola know something? And if he did, is this suspension purely about a tender, or is it about something else entirely? Now, to be clear, there is no official evidence linking this suspension directly to the Phala Phala scandal. And it's important not to present speculation as fact. But in politics, perception matters. And right now, the perception is raising eyebrows. Because South Africa has seen this pattern before. Officials removed pending investigation. Scandals emerging at politically convenient moments. And narratives shifting just enough to keep the public uncertain. Let's talk about the impact because this is bigger than one case. First, there's the police. The South African Police Service is already under pressure. High crime rates, public mistrust, and internal challenges. Removing the commissioner, even temporarily, creates instability at the top. Second, there's the presidency. Ramaphosa's credibility has been built on anti-corruption. Moves like this can either strengthen that image or weaken it, depending on how transparent the process is. If the public believes this is genuine accountability, it builds trust. But if the public suspects political motives, it does the opposite. And third, there's the broader system. Because when institutions appear to be influenced by politics, it undermines confidence in justice itself. Now, public reaction has been mixed. Some people are applauding the move, saying it shows that no one is above the law, not even the police commissioner. Others are far more skeptical, questioning the timing, the lack of detail, and the possible political undertones. On social media, debates are heating up. Is this a bold anti-corruption step or a strategic removal? Analysts, journalists, and political commentators are already digging deeper, looking for connections, inconsistencies, and hidden motives. And this is where things could escalate. Because what happens next will be critical. There will likely be investigations, possibly court proceedings. More details about the tender could emerge, who approved it, who benefited, and whether there was any criminal intent. At the same time, pressure may build for more transparency around the Phala Phala scandal, especially if the public continues to connect the dots. And if any link, direct or indirect, between these two issues is ever proven, the consequences could be massive. For now, though, we are in a waiting phase. Waiting for evidence. Waiting for clarity. Waiting for the truth. But one thing is certain. This is not just about a 360 million tender. It's about power. It's about control. And it's about what happens behind closed doors in one of Africa's most influential democracies. Because if the head of the police can be removed this quickly, without full public explanation, then what else is happening that we don't see? And more importantly, who decides what the public gets to know? Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this real accountability, or something far more calculated?